Goes nothing. So look what came today. We have some new stairs from inTech. So let's get ready for the unboxing. Okay, so what comes in the box? You have the main stair assembly. And my first reaction is it's pretty formidable. It's very nicely done and power coated. There's a couple scratches. I think maybe they test fit it. It's nice. This is nice. We'll carefully put this down. Then what you have is a bag of hardware, and you get 4 bolts and 10 wood screws, and it looks like you need 9. 4 bolts and nuts, and then 10 wood screws. And it's obvious where the wood screws go. I don't know where the bolts go. Then you have the threshold, and this is also very nice. It's not lightweight. It's not heavy, but it's got a nice skid strip. Says inTech. I'm sure that'll get scuffed up in no time, walking in and out. And then finally, you get legs that obviously go into the stair assembly and telescope out. Okay, so what I've done for the moment is I've set the stairs inverted in its stored position, but it's just resting on the floor and against those brackets, and I've engaged the latch system so it's not going to go anywhere. And I did this to put in the legs, and I faced the bolt and on the outside of the legs and just dropped them in with a nylock nuts on the inside of it, so it'll have a decent look. The bottoms are taped, I just noticed, so I'm going to pin them in next. So I've now pinned the legs in and removed the tape from the feet, and they're kind of a formidable pin with protrudences like a little teeny ball bearing. And the pins themselves are secured with steel cable and screwed to the stairs. So that's a nice quality thing. So now I've propped the stairs against the frame, and they're sitting on their feet. And you can see where it's obvious I can install these without removing the old step. So that's a relief. They look nice. They look sturdy. Let's proceed. Okay. With the threshold just sitting in place, not perfectly centered, but just a test, and the hinge folded in as it will be anchored underneath the plate, you can see that it's pretty close to the door, the old step, but it's not. But it's going to hit and rattle and all this other stuff going down the road. But the bottom line is they can be installed. And I did find where the 4 bolts and nuts go. They actually, it's obvious, That's what secures it to the threshold. So what's interesting is the height of the floor, and there's a lip to this threshold, and that is what prevents buying a cheaper pair of equally nice made steps from MoRide. Lippert doesn't have any that fit, period. The width of this door, which is sad. I believe that means that that's a non-standard door width in this, because, you know, they need to mass produce these, Lippert, so they're not going to mass produce something that isn't standard. But the height in this break in the metal that goes down so the door can fit, so the door can close, that's what the MoRides don't have, because I believe this is a non-standard way of doing things, or certainly not the baseline of what happens in the RV industry. I'm not an expert, but because that's not secured, well, let's go ahead and close the door. I just don't want the thing to fall on the ground. Yeah. So that will be the finished product. Okay. So now I've centered the steps. And in the actual frame of the door, it looks like it's 1 5/8 inches on either side. Now, where I wish there was some guidance provided by inTech is about how far this needs to be pushed in. Now, I believe for the greatest support would be pushed all the way in. So you notice this butts up against this, and the brake butts up against that sill. But there's no guidance. So I've marked where this goes, but I have yet to mark the hinge. So that's next, to make sure I get it right. So what I've done is I've marked the hinge, the bottom of that hinge, right where the tip of that Sharpie is on either side, the very bottom of the hinge where it hits this threshold. And so I'm going to swing the threshold up and match those marks. And take a look. So now the bottom of my hinge matches the dots all the way across, and that represents a gap from the door sill back from the hinge of less than 1/2 inch. It's not quite 1/2 inch. And I've marked all my holes just for alignment. And now I'm going to put in 2 screws, 1 on each end, just to test fit it. So with a screw on either end, with the almost 1/2 inch gap away from the sill, and I swing it down in place, you'll see that it butts up against each sill lip just nicely on either side. And I think that is what we want. So I'm going to run the other screws in. So with all 9 screws in, and they do give you an extra screw, by the way, just rotate this in place. Now it's up against the lips. The test fit of the door was initially concerning, but it is closing without any problem, and there's about the same amount of clearance. Not quite. I don't know if that's my fault or some things aren't square, you know, but it is closing, it is sealing, it's not hitting. Initially it did, but I gave it a little force down because I think over time you're going to plant your feet here. This got scuffed initially, but that also is going to get scuffed over time anyway from stepping on it. So it's good and it's secure. So The stairs are down and the door won't close. It's about a ½ inch off. And this is how you put in the legs in the channel. And you see they have their pinholes for the little pin. And they drop in. The problem is this fastener that holds the latch cross member on both sides, probably both of these, it protrudes into the channel. So that's as far as you can get the leg in. And because of that, I couldn't shorten the leg. The lip where the threshold plates fit was up a ½ inch. The screen door would close, but the regular door wouldn't close. This is a brand new concrete slab. It's level I'm on. So now you see I don't have any legs in it. But then it wouldn't reach the concrete, and that's not good to put stress on it like that. So now it's on wood. And you see that the plates are perfectly centered and fit perfectly nicely. So I called inTech and I described the problem. I took pictures. They were very helpful. I sent the pictures. They called back again. They went out to the factory line. And then I got a call back and they said, well, we've changed the design of the legs. The legs are the same length. They're 18 inches, the metal part, and probably a ½ inch for the foot. And they've got holes in them, right, for the pin. But what they've done is on one of these sides, however it goes in, they've actually put a channel. They've carved out a channel for that fastener in the cross member to slide through. They've realized their design is incorrect. They're going to overnight me legs, but they won't go out till tomorrow. Okay, day 2. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for my legs. And what is missing? It wasn't that bad. I had a breaker bar. I had a 15 millimeter impact socket, and that was necessary to break them loose. I did need a 15 millimeter wrench for those nylock nuts there. So welcome, here's day 3 and my legs just arrived. And you will quickly notice that they've redesigned the legs. Now, I was led to believe this was a 4-inch slit, but it's probably 2 inches. That's somewhat disconcerting. I hope that works. You'll see that the height on either post here, it's down about 2 inches because the slot lets it slide past that fastener. And you'll notice that the new legs with the slot have slightly offset holes, right? No, they're about the same. I've got 2 extra holes on the new legs, corresponding with the 2 inches. So I hope this works. Okay, the moment of truth. The screen door closes, as it always did. And the legs are on the shortest pin setting. And the door still doesn't close. Now we're off by a ¼ inch. So just to show, this is level concrete. I've got some notes. I need to clarify some things on this whole situation. It's fixed, resolved to my satisfaction, and then some. They work beautifully. It's now been a month since I installed the stairs, so I've been using them with no problem, and they're wonderful. They're wonderful, as you would think. So I talked to the service the second time. I called them and asked them once they sent me the new legs with the 2-inch slots, and I told them that didn't work, the 2-inch slots, because the legs are at an angle. A 2-inch slot effectively is like a 1-inch elevation. So I needed really more than that. And so I cut the slots a total of 4 inches out of the original legs. I have both sets of legs. So I left the 2-inch slot legs that they sent me that didn't work alone, and I took the original legs and cut 4-inch slots in them. Worked perfect. They slid past the fastener and the cross member. They support the stairs perfectly on level concrete, and end of story. It's all done. By adding that half-inch gap between the hinge and the door sill, they said that was wrong, and I said, well, you don't have any documentation for people to follow. I got the idea off of a Facebook group, and the other person had no problems. They said, well, we'll send you a doc that we have meant only for their line personnel to install, which clearly shows it's very brief. It's not a detailed thing at all, it just has a few pictures on it. And it shows that you're supposed to butt the hinge up against the plate. Well, what I'll show you, I actually tried that and it doesn't work. It makes the problem worse. That I needed that half-inch gap. The previous owner that I got the idea off of needed it too. So I don't know. We can take a look at that right here. Okay, so in the rain, I've changed the hinge so it's butted up against the threshold, like the document says. I have no legs. I've played with the level of the trailer. Again, I can close the screen door, but now I can't even close the door like I was able to the first time. So see, now this protrudes away from the door sill, bringing this up, bringing this face up, and now it hits the door. So it's got to be mounted away from the hinge has got to be moved a half-inch away from the threshold against what the document says, because it's only getting worse. So I put it back with a half-inch gap. The door is closed. I cut the 4-inch slots in the legs. Now my legs work beautifully. End of story. I asked the service person, is it possible that they designed these legs on brand new trailers, unloaded? And mine is not unloaded. I'm out in the field and I'm about 100 pounds under gross weight, so something must be squatting either my suspension or it could be even my tires, because in the last clip, you'll see I needed a 1/4 inch clearance. That was it. And so we're not talking much, but the difference between a weighted trailer, a loaded trailer, and a brand new one may be the difference when you're talking about a 1/4 inch. I didn't really get an answer from them, but I think they should take that into consideration. I was told that I was the only one with the problem that they were aware of. Well, I've been in touch with other people that have the same problem with these stairs. I don't know if they report it to inTech, and I urge them to do that, because they need to know, and we probably should receive the legs that are manufactured correctly for that, if they have 4-inch slots now. Otherwise, you'll have to cut your own slots. But I'm not the only one with the problem. And I actually, how the call ended was they didn't understand why I was the only one with the problem. So they recommended that I go have my trailer axle inspected. And I said, well, are you saying that there's something wrong with my trailer? And they said, oh no, we can't say that because we can't inspect your trailer. we just urge you to get your trailer inspected. Well, there's nothing wrong with my trailer. So that was, how that call ended. The solution in the end is to have 4-inch slots cut into these legs so it can bypass that fastener. Really, what they need to do is redesign that whole cross member so it doesn't use rivets that protrude into the channel. But we're not going to go there. You can cut a slot. I did it with a Dremel tool and a cutting wheel. I thought that was going to be difficult, but it was not. And I even used a little grinder on the Dremel tool because there were sharp edges produced when I cut it. Works perfectly. End of story. That's how they should have been designed to begin with. Now, in full disclosure, they made it right by me. inTech was a very responsive, extremely responsive company to work with. I woke up one morning after I had fixed this. The whole episode was over, and I had been given a refund for these stairs for my trebles, and that is pretty nice. You just watch what's going on, make sure everything works correctly, and I don't have any doubt that you'll have many years of pleasure out of it. So that's it, and I'll see you later.